शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। ॐ Dear friends, welcome to the study of the Yoga Sutras. We were reading the Sadhana Pada, and in that Sadhana Pada, we saw the 20th Sutra. 20th Sutra was Drashta Drushimatraha Shuddhopi Pratyayanupasyaha. So, Drashta is no doubt untouched by anything. Shuddhaha, untouched, Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, as we say. But still, he appears to be the Pratyaya Anupasyaha. He is one who is identifying with the Buddhi, and he is one who is undergoing all this. He thinks he is having that experience of pleasure and pain. So that is what we saw, and we have now to come to that complete commentary. Also, we read the last line. I will now share the text. The last line of that sutra was तथा चोक्तम् अपरिणामिनी हि भोक्तृशक्तिः अप्रतिसंक्रमा च परिणामिनी अर्थे प्रतिसंक्रांता इव तद्वृत्तिम् अनुपतति. That is this bhoktru shakti. That is what we call purusha. That bhoktru shakti apratisankrama. It is not like buddhi. When buddhi is seeing one object, when it has to see another object, it has to again go to another object. It has to shift from object to object. Whereas this purusha's illumination is on all objects. It is there always. Apratisankramacha. Parinamini arthe pratisankranteva. That parinamini arthe, in that object, in that buddhi which is moving about, in that buddhi which is shifting, it is also appearing as though it is shifting. The example given is like that image of moon in some shaky waters. Suppose the moon's image is there, and that water is not still, water is moving or shaking. The moon's pratibimba also appears to be shaking. So like that, pratisankranteva taduruttim anupatati tasyasya prapta chaitanyopagraha rupayah buddhivrittehe anukara matrataya. This buddhivritti, after all, is its own reflection. But then this Purusha appears as though he is following that Buddhi Vritti. Buddhi Vritti itself is its own reflection because of its own reflection. But then Purusha appears to be following that Anukara Matrataya. He appears to be following that Buddhi Vritti. And Jnana Vrittihi, Ityakhyayate, we call it Jnana Vritti, etc. Then we come to the next sutra. Tadartha eva drusyasya atma. The drusyasya, drusyam means, we can say the whole Vishwam, we can say drusyam in a limited sense, we can also refer to buddhi. We can also refer to buddhi in a limited sense. But drusyam is the entire, that prakriti itself, the whole prakriti is drusyam. So drusyasya atma. Atma means not soul. Here the very self means the very existence. His atma, my own atma, when I say my own existence. So in that sense, not in the sense of that soul, like we use in Vedanta. Drusyasya atma, the very self or the very existence of that drushya or the knowable is tadarthaha eva. Tadarthaha means purusharthaha eva. Purushasya prayojanaya eva. Purushasya prayojanam means what is that bhoga and apavarga. This entire existence of the knowable is for the purpose of the purusha. What is that purpose? That is the achieving bhoga and apavarga. So the self of the knowable is for the purpose of the purusha. Then drushi rupasya purushasya karma rupatam apannam drishyam iti tadartha eva drishyasya atma bhavati. Drushi rupasya purushasya. Druk. Purusha is druk swarupa. Drushi rupasya purushasya. For this druk rupa, for this purusha who is of the nature druk, then drishyam is becoming the object. Karma rupatam apannam. Because this man is seeing. When I am seeing something, that what I am seeing becomes the object for me. So that way, karma rupatam apannam. So this drishyam has become the karma. The subject, drusya, druk, is seeing that object. So that is why that has become the karma. That has become the subject matter for his knowledge or observation. Karma rupatam apan drishyam iti tadartha eva drishyasya atma. Because this otherwise drishya has no other purpose. Drishya is there only for the purpose of bhoga and apavarga for the purusha. Then swarupam bhavati iti. So the knowable becomes the object of experience. Experience means pleasure or pain, and also including bhoga, apavarga also, we have to include apavarga also, becomes the object for the purusha, which is of the nature of which means we are referring to the purusha. Purusha, which is of the nature of consciousness. Purusha, I have to put a comma here. Purusha, which is of the nature of consciousness. Hence, it is said that the knowable is to serve the purpose of the Purusha. The object of this, what is this? The purpose of this Drishyam is to serve the purpose of the Purusha. It means that serving the purpose of Purusha becomes the nature, becomes the very Atma, Swarupam. Swarupam becomes the very nature, becomes the very, say, characteristic, very nature of that Drishyam, very nature of that knowable. Then Swarupam tu Pararupena Pratilabdhatmakam. So Swarupam is Jadam. Drishyam, the very Swarupam is Jadam. So it can't know by itself. Pararupena Pratilabdhatmakam. It knows itself through somebody else. It knows itself through somebody else. Pararupena. Para is that Chaitanya. Chaitanya is that Purusha. Pararupena. Pratilabdhatmakam. It knows itself. It finds its own identity by the intervention of that Purusha, because of that intervention of the para. So pararupena pratilabdhatmakam bhoga apavargarthatayam krutayam. Once that purpose of bhoga and apavarga is completed, bhoga and apavarga, enjoyment and also the apavarga moksha, that has been kruta, that has been completed. Purushena na drushyate. It is again similar to what Vedanta says. Vedanta says slightly different. Vedanta says that a person who is a Brahmagyani, he sees the whole universe as a manifestation in Brahma. So that is his situation. He sees Brahma with what is that? Atma Darshanam, Sarvatra Brahmatma Darshanam. So he sees that Brahma Darshanam Sarvatra. Whereas here, and then there also the Jnani, he is totally neutral to pleasure and pain. So that aspect is common here. So here he is not looking at Prakriti as Brahma or something else. Because Prakriti is an independent entity here. Prakriti is an independent entity. It is only in the Purusha, an enlightened person in Sankhya or Yoga, he is only seeing himself as the knower, as the pure consciousness, and all other things, this in the whole body-mind complex as Jada. And if there is so-called pleasure and pain in the case of others, in relation to others, he is totally neutral to that. He has risen above those dualities. So rising above dualities is something common to both Vedanta and Sankhya. Whereas in Vedanta, the Jnani looks at the whole world or sees the whole world as the Brahman itself. Whereas here, it is not like that. He sees the world as the world, but he has risen from that. He is totally neutral to that. So bhoga apavargarthatayam krutayam purushena na drushyate. So all that the so-called experience is not there. He is beyond that sukha and dukkha. He has gone beyond the dualities. Then swarupahanadasya nasha praptaha natu vinashyati. Swarupahanat. Its swarupam is giving that bhoga and apavarga. Giving that bhoga and apavarga is its swarupam. Swarupahanat. Once that purpose is not there, Hanam is totally destroyed. That Swarupa is totally destroyed. That is, that aspect of giving Bhoga and Apavarga to Purusha is totally destroyed. It is totally gone. Then Swarupa Hanad, Asya means Drishyasya, Nashaha Praptaha means the contingency arises. Nashaha Praptaha, it doesn't mean that it has totally vanished. A contingency arises where it has to vanish, because once I become a realized person, the world no longer exists for me. In the case of a Jnani, Brahmagyani, in Vedanta, the world doesn't exist for him. He sees it as Brahma. But here, for this person who is realized, he is totally neutral to that. Hanadasya nashaha praptaha, but natu vinashyati. Tu is but. but it does not destroy, it does not disappear, it does not vanish. Swarupaha nasya nasha. As its very nature has ceased, the contingency of its disappearance arises, but it does not disappear. If it were to disappear, what happens? If it were to disappear, all would attain liberation, we even without our wish. So, which is not a very happy contingency, because many of us we may not be, seeking liberation. Many of us may not be immediately interested in liberation. Okay, I will get liberation after 80 years or 85 years or something like that. Till that time, let me do something. Let me do this, that, etc. So we will not be interested in liberation. So if it were to disappear for everybody, all would attain, all other people, all Purushas would attain liberation without their volition, and that's not taking place. Then the next sutra is Kasmat. Why? Krutartha, why? Why does it not get destroyed, or why does it not disappear? That, what is that? Drishyam. Why does it not disappear when one Purusha attains liberation? So he answers it, Kratartham prati nashtamapi anashtam tat anya sadharanatvat. Kratartham prati nashtam. So it is nashtam. It is no doubt it has gone. It has become, because this person has totally become neutral to all this raga, dvesha, etc., neutral to sukha, dukkha. So for that Kratartha, once whose purpose is served. Purpose is served means he is apavarga, he has attained this apavarga. Bhoga and apavarga is the thing. Bhoga is not there, bhoga is excluded. Now the person has attained that apavarga. Apavarga is moksha. So he is krutartha. Krutaha, krutam, artham, yena or yasya, something. Krutam artham. So he is a krutartha. So for him, towards him, or in relation to him, nashtam api, though it has disappeared in his case, anashtam tad anya sadharanatvat. That thing does not totally disappear. In reality, it does not disappear, because anya sadharanatvat, it is common to all of the people. It is commonly existing to all of the people. That prakriti or drishyam, you can, not only buddhi, you can also say the whole prakriti, the whole vishwam. That anya sadharanatvat, it has not vanished. Then krutartham ekam purusham prati, the same thing he is repeating. Krutartham ekam purusham prati drushtam nashtamapi, drishyam nashtamapi, nasham praptamapi, anashtam tad anya purusha sadharanatvat. Repetition of the same line. Tad anya purusha sadharanatvat. Krutartham prati, over that, though it has ceased to exist in relation to one person whose purpose is served, or whose purpose is done, it has not vanished, as it continues to be common for others. Okay, this is a repetition. I'll repeat it. I'll delete this. Kushalam purusham prati nasham praptamapi akushalan purushan prati na krutartham iti tesham drushehe karma vishayataam apannam labhate eva pararupena atmarupam iti. So kushalam purusham prati nasham praptamapi. Up to this point is one section. Kushalam, though in relation to one kushala, you know the word kushala. The word yoga also, you get that word, yoga, karma, sukha, kushalam, etc. In fact, kushala actually etymologically, kushan lati iti kusalaha. A person who goes and fetches the kusha darbha, you know that kusha is darbha. Darbha is a rather, you have to cut it very nicely, cut it very carefully. If we don't cut it carefully, it may cut our palm or fingers, because that is again sharp edges. It has got sharp edges. So a person who goes and cuts that kusha, he has to be slightly careful. He has to be slightly careful, and then he has to hold it in such a way that the blades of that grass, we call it the blade of the grass. So that blade of the grass does not cut the fingers or palm. So kushan lati iti kushalaha means a person who cuts, he has to be a skillful person. So kushala, the word comes from that. A person in olden days, even now of course kusha darbha, we see whenever a purohit comes, he comes with that kusha darbha, both are one. So kushalam prati, so a skilled person, that means here skilled means a realized person. Kushalam prati nasham praptamapi, though it has vanished. Akushalan purushan prati. in the context of all of the people who are not so smart, who are not so intelligent, who don't have the discrimination. Na krutartham, their purpose is not at served. They are still interested in bhoga, and maybe they are still pursuing that apavarga. So that it is not yet done, its purpose is not yet done. Iti tesham drushehe karma vishayata apannam. In the context of in their context, tesham drushehe. For there, they also, that Purusha also is Drukshakti. That other people also, they also, that Drukshakti is the same. Drukshakti, for that Drukshakti, karma vishayata apannam. The same Drishyam becomes the karma, it becomes the object for the other people who have not attained moksha. So for tesham dushehe karma vishayata apannam labhate eva pararupena atmaswarupamiti, atmarupamiti. So like that pararupena means para is that conscious entity. Labhate eva pararupena. So through that conscious entity, it finds itself, it knows itself. Atmarupamiti pararupena atmarupam labhate. So it attains, say realizes, not realizes, it finds its own nature, or rather it finds its own swarupam. It finds its own swarupam because of the intervention of that conscious element. Labhate eva pararupena. Pararupa is that conscious entity. Pararupena atmarupam iti. Then let us see, though it has vanished for one thinking person, it continues to be the object of enjoyment for the non-thinking persons as their purpose is not fulfilled. It surely becomes their object, that is karma vishayatam apannam. It surely becomes their object and assumes its nature of serving. I can even remove the brackets, there is no need. Karma vishayatam apannam, it is there. It becomes their object and assumes its nature of serving Purusha by the intervention of the other. Intervention of the other means that knower, pararupena. Pararupena labhate pararupena atmarupam. Pararupena atmarupam labhate. That is by the intervention of the Purusha, it attains its own nature, that is nature of serving the Purusha, nature of giving this bhoga and apavarga. Then atasya drugdarsana shaktyoho nityatvad anadi sanyogaha vyakhyata iti. Drugdarshana shaktyoho nityatvad. Druk also is nityam, drishyam also is nityam. Druk shakti is nityam, darshana shakti is also nityam. Darshana shakti means buddhi. Druk is Purusha. Darshana shakti is buddhi. Darshana shakti is that buddhi. Druk darshana shaktyoho nityatvat anadi sanyogo vyakhyataha. So the powers of the knower and the knowable. Knower is Purusha and the knowable is Drishyam, Prakriti as a whole. Or when you are talking about Darshana Shakti is in that buddhi. So the powers, their nature is, their existence is eternal and their nature is eternal. Their powers are also eternal. And hence their relationship also is said to be eternal or originless. Anadis sanyogaha vyakhyataha. Here nitya. Nitya is eternal. Anadi means originless. So sanyogaha vyakhyata iti. So it has been said. Vyakhyata means it has been told. It has been said that their relationship also is originless. That is the ignorance, what we call ignorance, or what we call this, the contact between Prakriti and Purusha is something which is anadi. When did it happen? We do not know. Tathacha uktam dharminam anadi sanyogat dharmamatranam api anadi sanyogaha iti. So that is why it is said dharminam anadi sanyogat. Dharmi, what is dharmi? Whatever has a property is that proprietor. Property is dharma. One who has that property is that dharmi. Suppose sweetness is the property. Sugar is dharmi. Sweetness is dharma. So like that, dharminam anadi sanyogat. So when that dharmis are having that old ancient contact, timeless contact, dharmanam api anadi sanyoga. So even their own whatever properties, their sanyoga, their contact, their association is also very totally eternal, totally originless. Anadi sanyoga iti. Because the conjunction of the primaries, conjunction is also one word which has been used for sanyoga. One translator he has used this word conjunction for the word Sanyoga. If you think it is a big word, we can also use the word called contact. Because the conjunction of the primaries, in fact, I used this word primary because dharmi, primaries, then with this Purusha is eternal. The relation of their evolutes, dharmas are all their evolutes. But they are not there. Purusha has no further evolute. Only this Prakriti has evolutes. So this evolutes like Buddhi, Manas, etc. They are all the evolutes of Prakriti. So their Sanyoga is also eternal. So in relation of their evolutes is also said to be eternal. Then we come to the next sutra, which is rather slightly long sutra. Sanyoga Swarupa Abhiditsaya Idam Sutram Pravavrute. Sanyoga Swarupa Abhiditsaya Abhidhatum Icha. Abhiditsa is Abhidhatum Icha Sananta Pratyaya. Abhidhatum Icha. Abhidhanam means telling. Name. Abhidhana actually means name. Abhidhana also means telling. Abhidhatum Ichaya. That is in order to tell. The Sanyoga Swarupa. In order to illustrate the nature of that conjunction or contact, Swarupa Abhiditsaya, Vidam Sutram Pravavrute. This particular sutra has come to illustrate. Then Swaswami Shaktyo Swarupopalabdhi Hetu Sanyoga. So here one important statement he is making. Swaswami Shaktyo Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu Sanyoga. This Sanyoga or contact is the Hetu. Hetu means the cause. For what? Swaswami Shaktyoha Swarupa Upalabdhi. Swarupa, that is one's own nature. Upalabdhi means realizing one's own nature, knowing one's own nature. Of course, Prakriti does not know its own nature. It only remains aloof. It is the Purusha who knows his nature and also the nature of Prakriti. It is the Purusha who knows his own nature and the nature of the Prakriti. It is not as though the Prakriti also gets realization. Prakriti is realized by this gentleman. No, Prakriti it does not have its own separate realization. So, Swaswami Shaktyoha Swarupopalabdhi Hetu. Swashakti and Swami Shakti. Swam is what? Swam. Swam means my own property. Whatever I own is my swam. In Telugu, we call it Somu. So, Swamu. Swam, whoever has a swam is a Swami. Swam Asti is Swami. So, Swami. Swam is the, what is this, Prakriti. And Swami is the Purusha. Because this Prakriti is something which is existing for the sake of the Purusha. So that is the reason why it is said to be the property, and this gentleman, he is said to be the proprietor or owner. So this Swaswami Shaktiyoho. So the contact of the Swaswami Shaktiyoho, that is what of the powers of the property and proprietor. Property, I have translated it as property, Swam. One translator translated it as owner or something. Owner also we can use, there is nothing wrong, because these Sanskrit words in English we can differently use. Maybe we have to have an index also at the end to say that it is also translated as what is this owner, or somebody else may use some other word. We do not know. So Sanyoga Swaswami Shaktyo, of the powers of the property and the proprietor, Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu, that is the cause for realizing their nature. So because of this Sanyoga, the Purusha is able to know his own nature. Otherwise, Purusha is totally Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupa. That Purusha has no particular triputi in him. So that Jnanam, what we call absolute Jnanam or Prajnana Gana or Brahma, is that state of consciousness where it is just ocean-like consciousness, where that triputi is not there. That the knower, Jnata, Jnanam, Jnayam, that is not there. Jnata, Jnanam, Jnayam arises only in a limited entity, only when that consciousness is reflected in something called Buddhi. Or just like sunlight is reflected on a water body, and then that water body has got a reflection, and that reflection is able to know certain things. So here also, the Purusha is the person who is comparable to the Brahman only. It is totally untouched by anything, though Purusha Nanatvam is said, is told here. Even then, this Purusha is something which is of the nature of total pure consciousness, and the knowing itself happens only through this drishyam. If drishyam were not to be there, and okay, drishyam also is there, the sanyoga also has to be there. When drishyam is there, the sanyoga also happens. So when that because of that sanyoga, he is able to know his own nature. So that is what the sutra says. So the contact of the powers of the property and the proprietor is the cause for realizing this nature. So for realization, what is the cause? For realization also, Prakriti, the presence of the Prakriti is helping us to realize. Pratibodha viditam matam, as Kenopanishad says, in every cognition, we are aware of the presence of something which is behind that cognition. So that is how this line also to be understood. Then the contact of the powers of the property and the proprietor is the cause for realization of their nature. Then Purushaha Swami Drushyena Svena Darshanartham Sanyuktaha. Purusha is the Swami. Swami is the owner or the proprietor. Drushyena Svena Darshanartham Sanyuktaha. So Drushyena Svena, by its own Drishyam, that is the buddhi. Drishyam here we can take it as buddhi. Darshanartham Sanyuktaha. He is engaged or he is in contact with that buddhi in order to know itself, in order to know himself or itself. Let me see what I have translated. Purusha, the property, is in contact with his property, knowable, for the purpose of realization. For the purpose of its own realization of what? Svena, Dushyena Svena, Darshanartham. Realization of what? Realization of its own nature. Purusha also has to realize its own nature. So for that reason, because we are all, even in Advaita, Vedanta, what do we say? This Jiva, it is, no doubt it is of the nature of Brahma, but it has identified itself with the buddhi. It does not know its own nature. So then it has to do some discrimination, and then it has to know that it is something apart from that buddhi. So here also it is same. Then tasmat sanyogat drishyasya upalabdhihi ya sa bhogaha. Tasmat sanyogat, from that contact, because that sanyoga gives both happen, that experience, bhoga, and also apavarga. Tasmat sanyoga drishyasya upalabdhihi. So long as we are enjoying the drishyam. Drishyasya upalabdhi. Upalabdhi means you are getting all things. You are enjoying all things. So long as that happiness goes on, then sabhoga. That is what is called bhoga. Not only happiness, it can be unhappiness also. Whatever drishyasya upalabdhi. So long as you keep on seeing that drishyam, experiencing it, then till that time, that is bhoga. Yatu drashtuhu swarupopalabdhihi sa apavargaha. Yatu drashtuhu swarupa upalabdhihi. So when this swarupa upalabdhi, when this purusha does some thinking and then does some discrimination and then knows this swarupa, his own nature, that is what is called apavarga, that is the moksha. The knowledge of the knowable arising from such contact is bhoga, the experience. Knowledge of the nature of the knower is realization. Then darshanakaryavasanaha sanyogaha iti darshanam viyogasya karana muktam. Darshanakarya avasanaha sanyogaha. This contact, sanyoga, contact, till what time will it remain? Till what time or till what stage does it remain? It is only till the person attains darshana. Once that darshanam is there, darshanam is, what is this? Darshanam is vision. Strict, very clear, correct translation of darshanam is vision. So vision may have some other connotations also. So that is the reason why I didn't use that word vision. So knowledge or gaining knowledge of one's own self, we can say. Darshana karyavasana sanyoga. Sanyoga is only till the Purusha attains, say, his knowledge of his own nature. Knowledge of his own nature. Iti darshanam viyogasya karana muktam. Then once that darshanam takes place, then what happens? The sanyoga becomes viyoga. Till that time he was foolishly engaged with that drishyam. Now he gets the viyoga. He is totally gets separated, and then he doesn't get involved in these things. So guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. So he doesn't get sajjate. Yeah, there also that sangam, that word sangha is used there. Iti matva na sajjate. He doesn't get associated. That sangha or sanyoga, that gets disconnected. So darshana karyavasana, that is contact ceases when the task of gaining knowledge is completed. Then hence knowledge is said to be the cause of disconnect. Darshanam viyogasya karanam. It is the cause of disconnect between Purusha and Prakriti. Then darshanam adarsanasya pratidvandvi ityataha iti, not ityataha, iti adarshanam sanyoga nimitta muktam. Darshanam adarsanasya pratidvandvi. Pratidvandvi means that is the adversary, that is the rival, that is the opponent. Darshanam adarsanasya. Darshanam is knowledge. He is the opponent of ignorance. Adarshanasya pratidvandvi. Iti adarshanam sanyoga nimitta muktam. So when darshanam or knowledge is the cause for disconnect, then what is the cause for connection? The cause for connection is foolishness. Because of foolishness, you get into contact, and by wisdom, you get separated. So that is what it means. So darshanam adarsanasya pratidvandvi. So darshanam, knowledge is the pratidvandvi or adversary of ignorance, and hence adarshanam, that ignorance, sanyoga nimittam, is the cause for this sanyoga. Knowledge is the adversary of ignorance, and hence ignorance is said to be the cause of this sanyoga or conjunction or contact. Then natra darshanam moksha karanam adarshana bhavadeva bandha bhavaha. So our commentators, they are very, very careful when they talk about moksha karanam, because the moksham is not something which is karyam, because in Vedanta also it is repeatedly said it is neither apyam nor vikaryam nor utpadyam. So there are certain 3-4 adjectives they use. It is not utpadyam, karyam, say vikaryam, so something like that. So karyam is something which has been achieved by a deliberate purpose. Karyam, so I do something and then I do achieve. I perform some yajna and attain some punyam, or I perform some yajna and attain some swargaloka or some such thing. So that is what is karyam. So swargam, attaining swargam is a karyam. So that is the reason why whatever is karyam has its own limitation. Whatever is karyam, it is in proportion to my activity. It is in proportion to the work I have done. So whatever result I get, so that is something which is time bound. It is something which is limited. But then moksha is not something which is limited. Moksha is some sort of awareness. It is somewhat like removing the ignorance. Removing the ignorance means it is Terati Yagarada, we say in Kali, in what is this Tyagaraja? Terati Yagarada. Tera is that veil of ignorance which is there in front of us. That veil has to be removed. So that is the reason why the commentators are very careful saying that darshanam is not moksha karanam. So it is not the karanam. Then we say that if we say that moksha darshanam is moksha karanam, then moksham becomes the karyam. So moksham cannot be karyam. It is neither karyam. It is always there. The moksha is, it is a state which is always there in a person. It is only that we don't know. We don't know that we are liberated. We feel that we are bound. Precisely what Vedanta also says. Then natra darshanam moksha karanam adarshana abhavadeva bandha bhavaha. Adarshana abhava, that is absence of adarshanam. Adarshanam is ignorance. Abhavadeva, that is because of the absence of ignorance. The absence of ignorance is bandha bhava, absence of bondage. Absence of ignorance is the absence of bondage. That is what is moksha. It is somewhat like saying earlier also we got some comparisons. That is arogyam. Rogasya abhava. Rogasya abhava arogyam. Otherwise, swasthyam is my natural state. Swasthyam, being in good health, is my natural state. Whereas this rogam is something which is agantukam. Agantukam is something which has come in between. So that arogyam, again I have to get by taking a medicine. And that medicine is that knowledge. So we saw exactly the same thing, even earlier in the same text. So, sa mokshaha iti darshanasya bhave bandhakaranasya adarshanasya nashaha. So, when there is this darshanasya bhave means when this darshanam arises, when it comes into existence, bandhakaranasya adarsanasya nashah. This adarsanam, which is the cause of bondage, it gets destroyed. Ityatah darshanam jnanam kaivalya karana muktam. So here again in some other circumlocutory manner he has said kaivalya karanam. Kaivalya karanam, kaivalya and moksha are one and the same. Ityatah darshanam jnanam kaivalya karana muktam. Usually in ordinary parlance we say like that. So that is what it means. Though we should not say that darshan, moksham is something which is produced by or caused by something, but in common, in ordinary loka vyavahara, we say like this. Nascence or ignorance, I can use the word ignorance instead of nascence. The cause of bondage is destroyed by knowledge, and hence knowledge is generally called, that is why I said generally, though technically we are not supposed to call it, is generally called the cause of liberation. So liberation is not said to be a karyam, an effect, because anything which is an effect is transient. Liberation always exists in Purusha, but it is not aware of it due to ignorance. Hence it is said that removal of ignorance is liberation. Just as removal of illness is health, and health is a normal state. Then, kincha idam adarshanam nama. And what is this adarsanam? What is this ignorance? About this ignorance, we see that in Vedanta also there is a lot of discussion on ignorance. So here, the discussion is with particular reference to gunas and its activities. Because now the Prakriti and the Purusha, Prakriti means only this gunas, 3 gunas only. So this the guna, what exactly is this ignorance? It is discussed in relation to mainly with the operation of gunas, working of the gunas. So kim gunanam adhikaraha ahosvit drushirupasya. There are about 8 alternatives given. So in order to have some clarity, I have given numbers. So here in the commentary, of course, it is just a running text. So in that running text, I have broken into some pieces. Kim gunanam adhikaraha ahosvit drushirupasya swamirah दर्शित विषयस्य प्रधान चित्तस्य अनुत्पादः स्वस्मिन् दृश्ये विद्यमाने यो दर्शनाभावः. So kim, the first option is kim gunanam adhikarah. Adhikara is, we have seen this word earlier also. Adhikara is coming into operation, something which is doing its job. Gunanam adhikara, gunas, they are doing their job. So gunanam adhikarah, commentators. Yeah. Karyarambhana samarthyam. That is what Yoga Vartika, and also Tattva Vaisharati. Both people they say, what is this? Adhikara? Adhikara, Vachaspati Mishra says, and also Yoga Vartika, Vijnana Bhikshu, both say that Karyarambhana samarthyam. So that is ability to go ahead with that its own nature of evolving. So Prakriti is what evolves into Asmita, this body-mind complex, etc., etc. So is it the efficient functioning of the gunas? Gunas are basically binding in nature, and so they have efficiently bound the Purusha with evolutes such as buddhi and senses. That is what is gunanam adhikaraha. Aryarambhana samarthyam. That is the ability to evolve, and then by their evolutes, with the help of their evolutes, it is binding the Purusha. Kim gunanam adhikaraha. Ahosvit means or else. Drushi rupasya swaminah darshita vishayasya pradhana chittasya anutpadaha. So, or what does it mean? Pradhana chittasya anutpadaha. Anutpadaha means not generating. Utpatti is generation. Utpadaha also is same thing. Anutpadaha means non-production or non-generation of what? Non-generation of a pradhana chittam. Pradhana chittam is that particular frame of mind, the right frame of mind which is able to know its real nature. So that is what here it is meant. Pradhana chittam here is that pradhana chittam is that right frame of mind which is able to know its own nature. Vivekasya anutpada eva adarshana. Okay, pradhana chitta for that also. Utkrushta buddhehe. vivekasya iti utkrishta buddhi. Pradhana chitta means that buddhi, the right frame of mind which is able to discriminate and then which is able to know the difference between Purusha and Prakriti. So that is that Pradhana Chittam. So, aho's with Drushirupasya Swaminaha, for that Swami, Darshita Vishayasya, of that Swami who is the boss of all this Darshita Vishayasya, all things are presented to him. But then Pradhana Chittasya Anutpadaha. Well, I'll read the translation to be more clear. Is it the non-presentation? Yeah, instead of non-production, I said non-presentation of the right frame of mind. Non-production also we can say of the right frame of mind to the Purusha who is the knower. So Pradhana Chitta is the right frame of mind which leads to realization, says Vachaspati Mishra. Then, I hope you understood this line. Ahos with Durshirupasya Swaminaha Darshita Vishayasya Pradhana Chittasya Anutpada. Though that right frame of mind is not generated. He is bogged down with pleasures and all that. Swasmin Drushye Vidyamane Yo Darshana Bhavaha. So in that Purusha, Drushya is so fully, he is so fully busy with all that Drushya. Swasmin Drushye Vidyamane. Drushya is so thoroughly seen or so clear, so busily seen by this person. And so that is the reason why Darshana Bhavaha. So that is the reason why there is no Darshana, there is no knowledge. Darshana Bhavaha. Whatever translated. Pradhana Chitta. When the Purusha is busy with the knowable, then there is no Darshana. Darshana Bhavaha. That is, there is no Darshana or knowledge. Then we come to the third alternative. Kim Arthavatta Gunanam. This is also somewhat similar to the first alternative. Even in the commentaries, there is not much of explanation on this. Kim Arthavatta Gunanam. Arthavatta is Arthaha Purusharthaha. Tad Yuktaha Arthavantaha. Tesham Bhavaha. Arthavat. So Purushartha Yuktata. So that is what it said. Purushartha Yuktata means that is the ability to produce, to cause Purushartha. The ability to give, what is this, experience, Bhoga and Apavarga. So that is what is Arthavatta. So Kim Arthavatta Gunanam. Arthavatta, I translated it as purposefulness. So Kim Arthavatta Gunanam. Is it the purposefulness of the gunas? Purposefulness is the efficient presentation of Bhoga. Here, it is leaving out Apavarga, we should assume. Otherwise, if it also it has given Apavarga, then there is no discussion about avidya. We are now talking about avidya. So that is the reason why it is the efficient presentation of Bhoga, leaving out Apavarga. Then 4, Atha avidya swachittena saha niruddha. Avidya swachittena saha niruddha swachittasya utpatti bijam. Avidya eva, or avidya is swachittena saha niruddha. Nirodha, we are now talking about that Nirodha. Nirodha is that Pralaya stage. That Pralaya stage when all things are resolved. Chittasya Nirodha, in that Nirodha stage, all things are resolved. We can talk about Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha, that Nirodha stage, or even that Pralaya stage. That Pralaya stage when all the beings are resolved. Then this avidya also is resolved along with the mind. Because mind is, that mind is full of vasanas. The mind is having all these impressions, all the baggage of karma and whatnot. And that is again due to avidya. So avidya is invariably there. We need not specifically say, but avidya is invariably there with the buddhi. And along with the buddhi, it has resolved into prakriti. Prakrutilaya also we saw earlier. Prakrutilayanam, there was a sutra. So in that sutra, we saw what was the Prakrutilaya. In that Prakrutilaya, all the beings are there with their buddhis in that seed form. And then again in the next Srishti, they again come into existence. So that is what is the question being posed here. Is it something which got resolved along with, at the time of Pralaya, along with the mind, and has formed the seed or samskara for the origin of its own mind? Because again, depending on the earlier samskaras, depending on whatever was there in the earlier, yatha purvam akalpayan, as we say. So depending on what was the frame of mind of the buddhi at the time of resolution. Similarly, in the next creation also, a similar buddhi is formed. A similar buddhi Swachittasya. So that is why he is using the word Swachittasya. Atha avidya swachittena saha. So for each chittam, the avidya is slightly different. Though the nature of avidya is same, with each chittam, the nature, it slightly differ. The texture varies because of the constitution of chittam. Because in that chittam, sattva, rajas, tamo guna mixture, their mixture, it is different. So depending on that mixture, the avidya also is slightly different. The degree of avidya may be slightly different. So swachittasya utpatti bijam. So the same degree of avidya continues in the next chittam also. Swachittasya utpatti bijam. So it becomes along with the mind and has formed the seed for the origin of its own mind. Swachittasya. Then Vachaspati Mishra at the end, Tattva Vaisharadi, that commentary, at the end, he points out that Patanjali is accepting the fourth alternative. Even Vedanta also accepts this fourth alternative. Avidya is something which is, of course, a definition is not actually given here, but in the next sutra, we are going to see Tasya Hetura Vidya, we are going to see Sanyogasya Hetu Avidya. So that is the reason why the mention of avidya is there. Something which is resolved into pralaya and again form the seed. Then, kim sthiti samskara kshaye gati samskara abhivyakti. Sthiti samskara and gati samskara. These are 2 points which he is raising here. Sthiti samskara is this prakriti, as we say, it is not as though, it is not like milk getting transformed into curd. So that is what I said. Milk gets transformed into curd. There is no question of milk again. So milk is gone. But then in this case, pradhana is always there. Pradhana is also there. And the formation of milk also is there. Formation of all other evolutes is there. So that means there is what is called a sthiti samskara. That is, it is abiding in its own nature. Sthiti, stha. It is abiding in its own nature. And at the same time, gati samskara also is there. Gati samskara is, it is also evolving. It is also evolving and then producing its evolutes. So, kim sthiti samskara kshaye gati samskara abhivyakti. So, are we assuming that this sthiti samskara has come to an end? That sthiti samskara has come to an end? Do we mean that? Is it that the static potentialities, this is again my own translation, static potentiality, I said, sthiti samskara kshaye gati samskara abhivyakti. The static potentialities of the gunas have ceased. That is to remain in that state of prakriti. That is also there. And mere dynamic potentialities have manifested. Dynamic potentialities are gati samskaras. That is only when the evolutes have come into existence and the prakriti, the mola prakriti is no longer there. So is it because of that? So then he himself is negating it. He himself is explaining. Yatra idam uktam pradhanam sthityaiva vartamanam vikara akaranad apradhanam syat. If we assume this particular say option, if we take this particular option, what is the problem? Pradhanam sthityaiva vartamanam vikara akaranat apradhanam syat. Suppose pradhanam is same prakriti. He is using that word pradhanam exclusively with a purpose. Pradhanam is all vikaras are efficiently in that. So that is why it is called pradhanam. So the etymological meaning is pradhiyate prakarshena dhiyate vikara jatam tena iti pradhanam. Prakarshena dhiyate vikara jatam tena iti pradhanam. So that means it very efficiently holds all the vikaras in it. So that is why it is called pradhanam. So that is the reason why he has used. Prakriti also is something similar. Prakarshena karoti iti prakriti. Prakarshena karoti iti prakriti. So it does. It so efficiently it produces all things. That is why it is prakriti. Pradhanam is so efficiently it has all things in it. That is why it is called pradhanam. Pradhanam sthityaiva vartamanam. Sthitya eva. Sthitya eva means in its static state only, in that static position. If it remains so, vikara akaranat, if it does not produce vikaras at all, then apradhanam syat. So it will cease to be pradhanam. So the pradhanam is supposed to produce all these things, isn't it? Pradhanam is supposed to evolve into all these things. So when if it remains only in that static state, then vikara akaranat, even if it does not produce these vikaras, then it becomes apradhanam. Then tatha gatyaiva vartamanam. So when instead of static potential, if it is only in that dynamic state, gatya eva vartamanam, in the dynamic potential, dynamic state only, gatya eva vartamanam. Vikara, it is a nityatvat or anityatvat. Seems to be a print mistake. Gatya eva vartamanam, vikara nityatvad. तथा गत्ये वर्तमानं विकारनित्यत्वाद् अप्रधानं स्यात्. Vikara. Okay, vikara. Oh, he has used in that sense. Vikara nityatvat. Okay. Tatha gatyaiva vartamanam vikara nityatvat. So we know that pradhanam is something which is eternal. Pradhanam is nityam. So if it has evolved into so many vikaras, then what will happen? Gatyaiva vartamanam vikara nityatvat. Then a situation will arise when all these vikaras will also become nitya. When all these vikaras become nitya, then there is no question of what is this realization? There is no question of realization when all these things they become nitya also. Nityatvat apradhanam syat. Then it will not be called apradhanam. Let me read the translation. It is said that if pradhanam were to abide in its static state without causing evolutes, it would be apradhanam. That is the first line. Etreda pradhanam sthityaiva vartamanam. Tatha gatyaiva vartamanam. Similarly, if pradhana were to abide in its dynamic state, continuously evolving, the evolutes would also be eternal. So vikara nityatvat. Then and hence it would again be apradhanam. It will not be pradhanam. It is not doing its job. If it abides in both states, that is, it has to abide in sthiti and also gati. So there is what is called a sthiti samskara and also gati samskara in this pradhanam. So that is what this particular portion says. So it is not as though pradhanam is something which is totally in this sthiti samskara or it has totally transformed itself. There is what is called sthiti samskara and also gati samskara in that pradhanam. Only then it is called pradhanam. Ubhayatha cha asya vrittihi. Vrittihi means vartanam, its existence. Ubhayatha cha asya vrittihi, its existence in both forms. Asya vrittihi means vartanam, its existence in both forms. Pradhana vyavaharam labhate nanyatha. You can call it pradhana only when it is abiding in both forms and not otherwise. And hence it would again be a pradhanam. If it abides in both states, static and dynamic, then it would be called pradhanam, not otherwise. So the same reasoning applies to any other hypothetical question. So that is what he says. What are those hypothetical questions? They are not mentioned here. Karanantareshvapi. If suppose somebody poses some hypothetical question, even for such hypothetical questions, kalpiteshveva, samanaha charchaha. So charcha is something similar. So what are those hypothetical questions? Of course, even commentary we have not seen. Then next, darshana shaktireva adarshanamitye. Eke means some people. Eke means some people. Darshana shakti eva adarsanam. So this darshana shakti, that is the buddhi seeing all things, buddhi knowing all these things. What buddhi is? Darshana shakti, isn't it? This buddhi seeing all this whole world, that itself is ignorance. That is what some people say. So when we see all these 8 alternatives, whatever we think of adarshana, whatever we think of avidya, so some great man has already told. We are in the group of some great man who has already told it. Because they have not finally, avidya is something which is anirvachaniyam. Avidya is something, all these options. Finally, we are saying it is anirvachaniyam. And of course, in all these in theistic traditions, we say it is Maya. It is the Vishnu Maya, or it is something which is, in all the entire Vaishnava literature, if you see Bhagavatam and all that, repeatedly you see that word Maya, Maya. So darshanasya, yeah, pradhanasya, the same reasoning applies to any other hypothetical question. Okay, darshana shaktireva adarshana ityeke. Some say that this buddhi is, that itself is adarshana, that itself is ignorance. That buddhi, the power of revealing itself, is, which is essence. Then there is one Shruti line also. Pradhanasya atmakyapanartha pravrittihi iti Shrutehe. This Shruti quotation, commentary, we don't find it. Pradhanasya darshana shaktihi. From where this quotation, we do not know. Pradhanasya atmakyapanartha pravrittihi iti Shrutehe. Shruti says that pradhanasya pravrittihi kimartham atmakyapanartha. That is, the all the activity of this pradhana is only to reveal itself. All the activity, that is prakriti evolving into mahan, mahatu, ahamkarat, tammatra, body, all these things, all this buddhi, all these things, only to reveal itself. There is a Shruti like that. Pradhanasya pravrittihi atmakyapanartha. That is, the activity of pradhanam is for revealing itself. It is Shrutehe. Then sarva bodhya bodha samartha prak pravrittehe purusho na pashyati. Purusha is what? The Drukshakti. Sarva bodhya bodha samartha. He is capable of knowing everything. Sarva bodhya bodhana bodha samartha. He is able to know. Bodhyam is something which can be known. Bodham is to know. Sarva bodhya bodha samartha means he is capable of knowing all that is knowable. Sarva bodhya bodha samartha is capable of knowing what all is knowable. So even then, Purushaha prak pravrittehe na pashyati. Before this evolution, he doesn't see anything. If it is only what is this Prakriti in its pure form, even that Mahat has not evolved. When nothing is there, Prakriti, Purusha doesn't see at all. So prak pravrittehe Purushaha na pashyati. Then sarva karya karana samartham drishyam. Then drishyam also is something which is sarva karya karana samartham. It is capable of executing all great deeds. Even then, tatha na drishyate. And when Purusha is not there, it is not seen at all. Drishyam tada na drishyate. It is not seen at all. So the translation is, the Purusha, the entity with all-knowing ability, sarva bodhya bodha samartha. Purusha, the entity with all-knowing ability, sees nothing without the prior activity of Prakriti. So there has to be that prior activity of Prakriti. Prak pravrittehe. Prak pravrittehe. Pravritti means pradhanasya pravrittihi. That is the activity. That is, evolution is its activity. Prior activity, without prior activity of Prakriti, the Purusha sees nothing. And similarly, at that time, the knowable, the buddhi in particular, with ability to achieve all tasks, is not seen at all. When that is not there, this is also not seen at all. So now what, 11:30, should we stop or? Yeah, 11:30, we will stop here. If there are any questions, let us see.
Thank you, sir. There's a question. Namaste, sir. What is the difference between Linga and Alinga Prakriti? Please explain.
Yeah, Linga is that which gives an indication is Lingam. Lingam, Darshanam, Gamayati, iti Lingam. Lingam, Gamayati. That is something which enables us to know. That is, there is some indication. Yes, this is what it is. It is something like Strilinga, Purusha, Pumlinga, etc. It is an indication, Lingam. Alinga means that pure Prakriti, which has not even evolved into Mahat. So when it evolves into Mahat, Prakriti is that pure Samya Avastha, Trigunanam Samya Avastha. So where three gunas are in that state of equilibrium. And when that there is some sort of commotion in that equilibrium, then only all that Srishti takes place. That commotion comes only in the presence of Purusha. When the Purusha is not there, that commotion is not there. So because of that, that Mahat comes into existence. So that Mahat is the first Alingam, first Lingam. Lingamatra, we saw the name, Lingamatra. And Alingam is that pure Prakriti. Lingamatra is Mahat. From that Lingamatra, that Asmita and all other things, they come. So that is the difference.
Thank you, sir. Shivkumar ji is asking, Namaste, sir. Can you give practical examples of point 5 and 6 on ignorance?
Point 5 and 6, let us see. Sthiti samskara kshaya, gati samskara kshaya. So, okay, यत्र इदमुक्तं प्रधानं स्थित्यै वर्तमानं विकारणात् वा प्रधानं स्यात्. Yeah, pradhanam, this prakriti as we see, it is supposed to produce, it is supposed to generate all those things. Pradhanam, the very nature of pradhanam is to contain all things in it, isn't it? Prakashena dhyate sarva, all sarva vastuni, something like that I read. Dhyate vikara jatam. So the entire vikara jatam is in that. So, but then if it does not do that, it is no longer called a pradhana. It is no longer called pradhana. So it is somewhat like a lord. A lord, there is nothing to lord over. Then he cannot be called a lord. So something like that. It is called pradhanam only because it is having all things in it. When it is not having anything in it, it cannot be called pradhana. Similarly, gatyaiva vartamanam. So it is only in that gati state only. And that sthiti state is gone. So it has totally transformed itself. So then also it is not pradhanam. It can be called apradhanam. So the pradhanam has to be in its sthiti state and also gati state. So that is what I understood. Maybe we have to think of some more examples. Darshana shakti reva darshana mityeke pradhanasya atmakyapanartha pravritti. This is clear, I think. The buddhi, the scriptural line, the activity of pradhanam is for revealing itself. The purusha, the entity with all-knowing ability, sees nothing. Yeah, this is also rather a clear line only. The Purusha itself is Drukshakti. He has got the ability to know all. He has got the ability only when there is something to be seen. Only when there is something to be seen, and only when it gets identified with that buddhi. Till this prakriti, till this Purusha gets identified with that buddhi, he doesn't see at all. He is pure consciousness where there is no drashta, there is no jnata, jnanam and jnayam. So it is only when that evolution has taken place, then he identifies with that buddhi. And identifying with that buddhi, then he sees it, okay, somebody else, swapara, etc. He is able to see things and then he is able to know this is sukha, this is dukkha. So that way.
One more question, sir. So Purusha we understand as just a witness. In that case, how does that becomes responsible for evolution?
Purusha, yeah, that is the question in Sankhya Siddhanta. That is the basic question. Because Purusha and Prakriti both are two different entities. And Purusha says Sannidhi Matrena. Sannidhi Matra, they use the word Sannidhi. Sannidhi is just proximity. In that proximity, then there is a Gunanam Shobha. Shobha is some turbulence in these gunas. Turbulence takes place in these gunas. And then that leads to the Srushti. So on one hand, they say that this Purusha is totally, nothing to do with this Prakriti and all that. But again, the proximity of that Purusha is the cause for this evolution. So in fact, along with this, suppose we read Sankhya Karika also, then we will see Sankhya Karika. I strongly recommend that you please read those Karikas also. Sankhya Karika, along with the commentaries, etc., they are also available on the net also. So if we see that the proximity, Gunanam, say what is this? Sannidhyam. Sannidhyam is responsible. And Gunanam Shobha, that turbulence in those gunas. So that is something, that is the difference between Vedanta and what is this Sankhya. And Sankhya model is accepted by most people. Vedanta model is accepted, this Advaita model is accepted by, Advaita school, only Advaita school, whereas Sankhya model is accepted by all the Dvaitins, Visishta Advaita also, all the religions also, all the existing religions, they are at this level only. So Advaita is something which is, that is probably it is a unique thing.
That's all, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Namaskara.
Okay. Hari Om Tat Sat.